everybody, welcome to Off Rugby, and wow, the Springboks have absolutely demolished Argentina in Durban, which feels appropriate considering what, from a Springbok point of view, considering what Siya Kolisi said during the week, that they owe Durban a performance. And wow, what a performance it was. At times, Argentina actually looked like a schoolboy team, and that's no disrespect to them, but it's just how well things went for the Springboks, especially in that second half. I just want to say, if you like this content, like and subscribe, leave a comment. I'll try and reply to all comments. Hit that bell notification. It really does help the channel. We're trying to grow the community, create a little bit of a fraternity here at Off Rugby. But let's get into it, eh? Wow, what a fun game to watch. That's probably going to be my conclusion through the whole the entirety of this video. It was absolutely bizarre at times, but really intriguing, and the amount of tries. I mean, I certainly don't want to seem like a rugby league fanatic, but wow, what a fun game to watch. It really is easy on the eyes and just a great product when a game like this comes up. The whole first half was really bizarre and tense. I've got a couple of notes here about how cagey both the teams were, and sort of feeling each other out. No one really had any dominance, or no one could really get a foothold in the game. I will say that South Africa did look, I would say at times they looked like they were dangerous, and it looked like they were, that in a matter of time they would hold on to those balls, they would be able to break those lines, and they would get over the line. I know there was a Ebenezer try chalked off for a knock-on from Ranach, bit of deja vu there, but it ended up not mattering. And then and I would say from Angus Gardner, the ref, very cagey refereeing, very erratic almost reffing, pinging up straight away for offsides. It seemed like an unintentional way of telling the Springboks, okay, you are not going to do this today, which I suppose is a good reffing in that point of view, like stamp something out. But I felt that sometimes the Argentinians also got a little bit flirty with that offside line, and a little bit flirty in the breakdown, and perhaps it wasn't picked up, and I suppose that's what happens in games. But it was very erratic refereeing, because one thing, it seemed like a pattern that he was doing, and then all of a sudden that pattern goes away. Then the TMO comes in for certain things, and then the TMO doesn't come in for other things. There was a couple of head clashes there that I thought could really have been looked at, but I suppose, swings and roundabouts, that's what it happens. I know there was a time as well where there was no communication on field to the refs. I don't know if everyone heard that, but so a few things perhaps got missed. They did go back for a penalty on for a hard charge. I can't remember the Springbok player, but it was a hard charge on a Springbok player, or a hard tackle on a Springbok player, and they went back when communication got restored. So it begs the question as to what else got missed. Hopefully it was just that, but it's just something to speculate. And like I said, neither team could really get a foothold in the game, and it was very stop starts as well. So it felt a bit, I don't want to say boring, because rugby is never boring, but it did feel like the game couldn't get going. Now I don't know if that's the nature of the game, the nature of the styles the two teams were trying to play. Perhaps that's Durban weather. I don't think so. That not this time of the year. It is warm, but I wouldn't say it's as warm as it can be. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it was the reffing, maybe. Like I said, a bit erratic. I don't want to go on about the ref. It's very difficult with that type of scoreline to complain from a South African point of view, and it's very easy to complain from an Argentina point of view. But although I don't think any decision he made would have changed the result dramatically. I just think that it was erratic. When I say it was erratic, I'm not sure the game flowed as it needed to. So you guys let me know what you felt. I know there was also a lot of help from assistants. I suppose that's what they're there for. But it's just sometimes you don't get that in games. Sometimes the assistants are very quiet, TMO is very quiet. I know I watched the Wallaby Bledisloe one Wallaby All Blacks game, and the TMO was relatively quiet. Assistants were relatively quiet as well. Basically, the ref on the field was the one that made most of the decisions. So it's just when I say erratic, I don't mean he was bad. I just thought the game couldn't get going, and they couldn't. You couldn't have a smooth transition into off play, even if there was a stoppage with scrum or anything. There's still smooth transitions. This game seemed to not have that. Also, a concern for me in terms of the Springboks would be: are we that bad in the scrum with that Oxenchae, guys? Does Wilco Low and Oxenchae need to be on that field for us to get any go forward? We really lacked in the scrums, I thought, in the first half, giving away a couple of penalties. This is and I would say we weren't dominated, no, not by a far stretch, but we certainly didn't get domination. I would say it was parity, and Argentina have a strong scrum, but not the strongest in the world. New Zealand got over them. Australia certainly held their own against them. So it's something I wasn't expecting. It just shows you, perhaps it is down to the ability of a scrummager, of the player, and obviously Wilco Low and Oxenchae just are out of this world. But I'm just not sure as to what the drop off is when they are not on the field. Is it that much? I didn't think so. I thought there was a couple of percent, but maybe that's all it takes, I do like Thomas Toy. I think he's very mobile and he plays very well at club level as well. I don't think he's made a stamp yet on the international stage. He also gave 3 penalties away in the first half by himself, that's quite a high number for an individual player. So I'm sure they'll be looking at that. I thought Bone Fencer was okay again. Nothing spectacular again. He's stable in the scrum, but very immobile in the open play game. Look, obviously I'm plucking at straws here in terms of what abilities props have, but I mean, it is the Springboks. We are the best team in the world. Our standards are very high. So I'm not saying he had a bad game. I just thought, like I said, I thought our props lacked a little bit in the first half. So yes, that's my opinion. Let me know your opinion. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know who you think maybe can give us that other than Oxenchae and Wilco Low. So I'm trying to get my notes because there was just so many. This game was so up and down and so many weird things. I mean, we can speak about the try that I don't think anyone has ever seen something like this before. It was Santiago Chocobares who gathered a goal line drop kick from Cheslin Colby, and Chocobares was definitely 5 meters away, and a ball just came running in front of him, and he caught it and dived over the line. It was the most bizarre things. I sort of sat there in silence and I wouldn't say in awe. I just was confused. I thought, what's going on now? I will admit, immediately when I watched it in real time and I saw Cheslin Colby drop kick the ball, I didn't realize. I thought he was going for like a trick play, and I didn't realize he was trying to pass the ball to Sasha, or to whoever was taking the drop kick. And then my mind sort of, as I watched it over a couple of seconds, my mind sort of said, "Oh no, he looks too casual to be trying a play. He's not he's not going forward after he kicks. He's just sort of looking casual." And then a camera angle switched, and I saw a couple of the Argentinian players celebrating, like going, "Yes," showing the ref that we've scored, But I think everyone was kind of confused at that moment. So yes, it was bizarre as hell. But honestly, you cannot argue with the ruling. It's very unlucky, and a lot of times refs get praised for, people say they let sense prevail. Something happened, but they took it back because it just didn't make sense and they understood what was going on. And in this case, I wouldn't say that sense didn't prevail, but I don't think it took a lot to see what Cheslin was doing if you had the full picture. Obviously, when I say that I thought he was doing a trick play, I only was watching Cheslin. I didn't have the full picture. The camera didn't give the full picture of what was going on. So in this case, the letter of the law was upheld, and it's very difficult to argue with that. Some refs would have taken that back and be like, "Oh, he clearly didn't kick off." If I had to look at from Cheslin's point of view, I do not understand why he decided to drop kick the ball. I mean, you could have punted it, you could have passed it, could have held onto it until your team got behind the line. So I suppose the decision to actually drop kick, do a drop kick pass to whoever's going to take the goal line kickoff was a bit odd. But that's what it is. That's what the game is, and it made it very interesting, a very interesting watch to see what would happen. So can't complain about it, but it was very bizarre. I will say another negative, and this is from the all-round game, is because at the moment I'm just talking about the first half, but overall, if you look at the past 2 years, I would say the South Africans are the kings of conceding soft tries. I don't think I've ever seen a team concede so many soft tries. And when I say soft tries, I mean tries from ruckless turnovers. So meaning the Australians did this to us in Ellis Park, meaning there were no rucks when they scored. It was just turnover ball and someone got through. In this game, it was just odd mistakes. The Malcolm Marx yellow card and penalty try. No complaints because it was right. I thought the collapsing was a bit harsh because, I mean, a maul collapses over the line all the time. They said it was within the field of play, but if you go look back at it, I looked at it a few times. I would say it's a line adjacent. But that's just a nitpick, if he's coming in from the side and he's collapsing a maul, it's a yellow card penalty try. I can't argue with it. I could argue with the semantics, but I'd probably lose. So let's just carry on with that. Another just weird thing, maybe in that situation you just let the maul go over. But I suppose the game was far closer then. I thought in the first half, Sasha FM already started showing his colours. He was, and if you think about all the games he's been a part of, the 18 minutes in Wellington, even though he made a couple of hiccups, he still always stands out. There's just always something he does when he gets the ball. He feels electric, and I've always been one to be very careful of putting too much pressure on a player. But wow, he just is something special. He can absolutely lift a team that is not performing, and that's special. There's a lot of fly-halves that look exceptional with a team that's going forward, but when they go backwards, not so much. Sasha's not one of those fly-halves. He just seems to be able to pick everyone up, pick a game up that's not going to plan. And then Argentina, they weren't looking dangerous. They weren't looking like the Argentina I expected. That's probably got partly to do with our defense. Maybe not us letting them get into the game, but they did get through with a couple of kicks. They used their kicking game quite well. That's what got them a lot of territory. They didn't have much territory in the first half, but they had a lot of possession. The Boks were being staffed for possession in that first half for a while. But yeah, and then straight after the penalty try, Argentina then fumble we got a kickoff. It was after red, but I assume because the try was given and the penalty was given before the halftime hooter, but the time just kept rolling on. But they kicked off and it was already in red. And then Argentina go and fumble the ball, and they don't get it back, and South Africa just score an amazing try and get themselves back into it before the end of halftime. And I thought that was a defining moment. I thought that was extremely easy almost. And yeah, they went into the sheds 25-23. And you thought, well, what's going to happen now? The game's pretty close, but South Africa do look dominant. But, I've seen dominant teams lose before, so I certainly wasn't confident. And we were giving away so many soft points, soft penalties. It was crazy. Then we get on to the second half. And this is where I'm going to start talking about Sasha, because he was just incredible. The game started moving far faster in the second half than the first half. I felt like we sort of tried to really take it up a notch, or so the South Africa tried to really take it up a notch. Sasha immediately showed his class. And he doesn't just take gaps or have that confidence to try and step off his feet and make those impossible passes and kicks. He doesn't mind contact as well. He really attacks the line, so it makes defenses really worry about him. And most defenses won't prioritize a fly-off in terms of who to mark. Obviously, they'll when he's got the ball, they try and tackle him. That's not what I'm saying. But there are priorities in terms of dangers in attack that a defense coach and a defensive team will look at. And fly-off is very rarely part of those plans. They try and hit him early and cut off his ability to distribute. But with Sasha, they need to now watch and mark him as one of the most dangerous running players on the team. And that is quite a weapon to have. We have a number of weapons now, but that is quite a weapon to have. And I thought Sasha with this half really showed the world what he is, and what he can potentially become. Because we all knew he was a world-class player, and had the potential to be a world-class player, and he's got amazing talent, and he does it for the Stormers day in and day out. And he started last year against the All Blacks, and he had okay runs, but never really had the 80 minutes that just put him on the map. This is going to be Sasha's test. This is going to be the one that everybody looks at, like they looked at Dan Carter in 2005, where everyone said, okay, this guy is now our guy. This guy is the guy that is going to see us through the next 2-3 World Cups. He's going to be 100 cap or Springbok if injury doesn't plague him like it has been. He's got 11 already. And he just really, he's not afraid of contests. He got a hat-trick of tries, and he broke Percy Montgomery's long-standing record for an individual player within a game, scoring points within a game. The record that Percy held for many, many years was 35 points, and it now is 37. He beat about 2 points with a conversion in the last minute of the game. And congratulations to him. It's incredible. We are lucky as spectators and fans to witness someone do something like that. Then, okay, let's get off Sasha for a while, and let's go back to the scrums, because Wilco comes on, and all of a sudden the scrum is dominant. So that's why I asked the question in the first part of this video is, are we really that reliant on Wilco and Oxenche? I will admit that Wilco got caught on the defensive line a few times, lacking a little bit. So I actually agree with the coaches that Wilco shouldn't start, because I think he leaves a bit of holes in the defensive lines. He's just not mobile enough. But when you need that change in a game in terms of penalties and scrums, when you need to instill fear in the scrum, you bring him on, and he's certainly going to do that for you. The Springboks then dominated the aerial battle. It sort of felt like deja vu in terms of Wellington. This was far more fun and less, I suppose, in the second half it got less tense. But the Argentinians just could not win the aerial battle. They also could not exit. South Africa certainly forced them, I think, for most part of the game, but it just took its toll in the second half. They forced them to play from deep, which was very uncharacteristic. What South Africa was doing was box kicking their exits when they needed to, regathering for the most part, or just getting dominant hits because when the Argentinians gathered in midfield, they couldn't get quick ball, they couldn't set up correctly. I thought their structures just weren't very good in the second half, and it would end up in a turnover. And then from the halfway or from the middle part of the pitch, South Africa were putting in little clever kicks. Willemse, Sacha FM, Mani Lebok when he came on, putting clever little kicks that turned the Argentinians, or they caught it fine, but just couldn't exit. Their kicks were terrible. They were kicking onto speedsters that we were just attacking with, or kicking out into touch that didn't get very much distance. So we just had attacking platforms after attacking platforms. And I thought that the Argentinian back three really had a tough day at the office today. Now, look, I know they had a couple of injuries in the back line that really probably didn't help them, especially with regards to the 6-2 split that they chose. It is always a risk when you do that. I still am very in favor of the 6-2 split, but it is a risk, and they ran that risk, and it bit them, unfortunately. But that is the game, and you need to have plans for that. Russie and the coaching staff of South Africa always say that when they pick their 7-1, they have plans. They might not work very well, but they have plans, and they have players that can try and do that hybrid role. I also thought that in terms of Damian de Allende, he had an okay game, but in my opinion, I think Andre Esterhuizen is showing that he packs a bit more punch in the midfield now. Damian de Allende has been outstanding for years, and he's still going to be in the mix, and he's still going to do the job. But I'm wondering if we can maybe give Andre Esterhuizen a bit of an extended run. I think he's been outperforming Damian now for a couple of games, I would say for the season, and Andre has been in the form of his life. So why not use that? So yeah, that's all I'll say on that. I thought Manie Libbok came on and also really added dimension. Morne van der Berg added speed to the ruck. So yeah, I think our bench worked pretty well. I mean, we got all of a sudden when our bench, if you think about how our bench came on, Ergia Snyman I thought was excellent. He came on relatively early, and I thought he outplayed. He replaced Eben, actually, who I thought had a good game, but Ergia just had a better game. He I don't know if you guys noticed, but that one line out toward the latter part of the game, he then took it with one hand and just threw it down. I mean, it's very rare you see that. You saw that once with Leinster, where he sort of also just put his hand out there, grabbed the ball, threw it down, and when he scored a try, he acted as if his hand couldn't let go of the ball. It was just, it's amazing. I'm fanboying a bit. I really thought Ergia had a very good game. His go-go gadget arms had offloads that we didn't even expect, so in terms of the Springbok players, his own teammates didn't expect them. So that was pretty cool, and I thought he had a really good game. You then got the new front row that just all of a sudden got dominance. Not all of a sudden, but they got dominance, so they changed the game. You got Morne van der Berg, who came on and just changed the game. He got the ruck speed got faster. I thought Ranach did a good job, but I thought he was a bit slow at the ruck when we needed him to be a bit faster. And then you got Manie Libbok, who added his own dimension, sort of, more of the same. That kick chase that kick regather for his trial was incredible, and absolutely hats off to the guy. He's coming a long way. His kicking seems to be working hard at it and really fixing the problems that he perhaps had. And then Pieter-Steph du Toit. I just want to say, if Sasha FM was not on the field today, Pieter-Steph du Toit would have been my man of the match. He was incredible. He was everywhere. He had just as much run meters as some of the backline players. He had tackles, dominant carries. It was incredible. I thought he was really good. And he scored 2 tries himself. He almost got his own hat-trick. And I just think there's a reason he's Player of the Year, and maybe he might get it again. So yes, guys, look, it ended 67-30, a massive total and a massive domination from the Springboks, and wow, it was really something. I mean, I can go through a couple of the stats here. Total runs 126 to 76 to the Boks. Meters run 562 to the Boks, 244 to the Argentinians. Clean breaks 11 to 2. Tackles 88 to the Boks, 124 to Argentina. Missed tackles 25 for the Boks, 34 for Argentina. Turnover knock-ons 9-10, so pretty even there. Possession 60-40, but to South Africa, but much more than 60 in the second half. I mean, South Africa basically had all the ball in the second half, which you could tell. Territory 58-42. I actually think that's being kind to. I'm sure it's accurate, but the game didn't look that way. And it was a performance. South Africa now goes as the first team this year in the Rugby Championship back-to-back in terms of wins. And this puts them pole position to win the championship. They are now a point ahead in the table on 15, All Blacks on 14. And they're about, I think, don't get me wrong here, I'm going to look at the table while I'm talking to you guys. And their points difference is 61. So even if South Africa win this weekend at Twickenham without a bonus point, and the All Blacks win with a bonus point against Australia, they would still have to beat Australia by 61 points to beat us. So we are really in the pound seats. We don't have to worry about bonus points, I don't think, this weekend at Twickenham against Argentina. I think this puts the Springboks in a really, really good position. Look, don't discount Argentina for a fight back. They're going to be hurting after this. However, I think South Africa are going to be too strong for them at Twickenham. It is a game, however, guys, that I will be at, and I'm going to be taking videos and mapping out a road to and our trip to Twickenham. Hopefully bring you some nice details, some nice videos, some nice interactions, and yeah, hopefully we can watch the trophy being lifted by South Africa. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I will do another video this week, perhaps going into more detail of the game. I just thought I'd do a quick video just to tell you my thoughts and what I noticed while watching. Again, if you guys enjoy this content, please subscribe, leave a comment, and yeah, let's get this fraternity going. Thanks, guys. Cheers.